Sharon slaps Nick and files for divorce. Young and the Restless Spoilers. Fan fiction note. This is a fictional, fan-created Y&R storyline inspired by the current Nick and Sharon drama. Recent spoilers have Nick struggling badly, while Sharon remains deeply concerned about him. The atmosphere inside Crimson Lights had never felt so heavy. Sharon Newman stood behind the counter, staring at her phone. She had already called Nick 3 times. No answer. She had sent message after message, but every one of them remained unanswered. She closed her eyes. "Please, Nick," she whispered. "Just tell me you're okay." But Sharon knew something was wrong. For weeks, she had watched the man she loved disappear in front of her. Nick had promised he would get his life back under control. He had promised that he would accept help and stop running away from the people who cared about him. Instead, every promise seemed to collapse. Recent Y&R spoilers have Nick reaching an especially dangerous emotional low, with his family desperately trying to prevent his downward spiral. Then the door opened. Nick walked inside. Sharon immediately knew something was different. His eyes were tired. His clothes were wrinkled. He looked like he hadn't slept. "Nick?" He avoided her gaze. "Hey." Sharon slowly walked around the counter. "Where have you been?" "I've been dealing with some things." "What things?" "Sharon, please, not tonight." Her expression hardened. "Not tonight?" Nick sighed. "I don't want to fight. Neither do I. I want the truth." Nick looked away. That was all Sharon needed. "You lied to me again." "I didn't lie. You disappeared. I needed space. You promised me you wouldn't disappear." Nick's jaw tightened. "I said I'm sorry." Sharon stared at him. Sorry doesn't mean anything anymore. The words hit Nick harder than she intended. "Sharon." "No." She raised her hand. "Don't say my name like everything is normal." Nick stepped closer. "I know I've made mistakes." "It's more than mistakes." Her voice cracked. "You've broken every promise you made." Nick looked at her with pain in his eyes. "I am trying." "Are you?" Silence. Sharon waited. Nick had no answer. And then Sharon noticed something else. A message appeared on Nick's phone. He quickly turned the screen away. Sharon's eyes narrowed. "Who was that?" "Nobody." "Nobody?" "It's nothing." "Let me see it." "No." That one word changed everything. Sharon stared at him. "You're hiding something." Nick shook his head. "I'm not doing this." "You already are." "Sharon, I can't explain everything right now." "Then explain one thing." She stepped closer. "Why should I trust you?" Nick opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Sharon's eyes filled with tears. "I stood beside you when everyone else wanted to walk away." "I know." "I defended you." "I know." "I believed you." "I know. And you keep making me regret it." Nick looked devastated. "I'm sorry." Sharon's voice became quiet. "No, Nick, you're not." She turned away. Nick reached for her hand. "Please." Sharon pulled away. "Don't touch me." He froze. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then Nick made the mistake that finally pushed Sharon over the edge. "You're overreacting." Sharon slowly turned around. "What did you say?" Nick immediately realized his mistake. "I didn't mean, you think I'm overreacting? No. You disappear, you lie, you break promises, you refuse to tell me where you've been, and I'm overreacting? Sharon, enough." Her voice echoed through the room. Nick stepped back. Sharon was crying now, but there was something different in her expression. It wasn't fear, it was determination. "I can't do this anymore." Nick stared at her. "Do what?" "Be your excuse." "What?" "Every time something goes wrong, you expect me to forgive you. That isn't fair." "Isn't it?" She wiped her tears. You keep saying you're fighting for your family, but you're destroying it. Nick's expression fell. I'm trying to save myself. Then save yourself. Sharon's voice trembled. But stop asking me to drown with you. Nick stared at her. Are you ending this? Sharon didn't answer immediately. Then Nick saw the pain in her eyes. Yes. His face went pale. Sharon, I love you. That sentence surprised him. But love isn't enough anymore. Nick shook his head. No. I can't keep living like this. Please don't do this. I have to. Then came the moment that would become one of the biggest shocks in Genoa City. Nick reached for her again. Sharon slapped him. The room went silent. Nick stood completely still. Sharon immediately looked horrified by what she had done, but she didn't take back her words. I never wanted to hurt you, she said, but I need you to understand how much you've hurt me. Nick touched his cheek. I understand. No, you don't. I do now. Sharon walked toward the door. I want a divorce. Nick's eyes widened. Divorce? Yes. You're serious? For the first time in a long time, I am. Nick sank into a chair. This can't be happening. Sharon looked back at him. It already is. She walked away. The Newman family reacts. The news spread quickly. Victoria was the first to hear. What? Sharon had called her herself. I ended things with Nick. Victoria closed her eyes. Sharon, I know what you're going to say. No, you don't. Victoria's voice softened. I was going to say I'm sorry. Sharon swallowed. I can't keep rescuing him. I understand. No one understands. Victoria paused. I do. Sharon looked surprised. Victoria continued. Sometimes loving someone means knowing when you can't save them. Those words stayed with Sharon. But Victor Newman had a very different reaction. When he learned that Sharon wanted a divorce, he immediately went to find Nick. He found his son sitting alone. Victor stood in the doorway. You look like hell. Nick didn't respond. Your mother told me. Nick laughed bitterly. Of course she did. She told me Sharon is leaving you. Nick looked down. She filed for divorce. Victor slowly walked toward him. Why? Nick didn't answer. Victor's expression hardened. What did you do? Nick finally looked at his father. Everything. Victor sat beside him. You still love her? Nick's eyes filled with tears. More than anything. Then prove it. Nick shook his head. She doesn't want me. Then respect her decision. Nick looked surprised. Victor continued. But don't confuse respecting her decision with giving up on yourself. Nick stared at his father. What am I supposed to do? For once, Nick, stop trying to control everyone around you. Victor stood. Get help. Face what you've done. Become someone Sharon doesn't have to be afraid of losing. Nick looked down. For once, he didn't argue. Sharon makes her decision. At Crimson Lights, Sharon sat with Mariah. Mariah had heard everything. You really filed? Sharon nodded. Mariah reached across the table. Are you okay? No. Sharon smiled sadly. But I will be. Mariah looked at her mother. Do you still love him? Sharon took a deep breath. Yes. Then why leave? Because loving someone doesn't mean accepting everything they do. Mariah nodded. Sharon continued. I've spent too much of my life believing that if I love someone enough, I can save them. She looked toward the window. But people have to save themselves. Mariah smiled. That's the strongest thing you've ever said. Sharon's eyes filled with tears. I don't feel strong. You are. Nick gets one last message. That night, Nick sat alone in his apartment. His phone buzzed, a message from Sharon. He stared at it for nearly a minute before opening it. There were only a few words. I hope someday you become the man you promised me you would be. Nick closed his eyes. He began typing, then stopped. He deleted everything. For once he understood that another promise wasn't enough. He needed action. The divorce becomes public. The following morning, Genoa City was buzzing. Rumors spread through every corner of town. Nick and Sharon were finished. Some people blamed Nick, others blamed Sharon. Some believed the couple would eventually reunite. But Sharon wasn't thinking about reconciliation. She was thinking about rebuilding herself. At the Newman Ranch, Victor received another phone call. The divorce paperwork had officially been filed. Victor looked toward Nikki. "This is serious." Nikki nodded. "Sharon doesn't make decisions like this lightly." Victor sighed. "Nick is going to have to accept it." Nikki looked worried. "I'm more concerned about what Nick does next." Victor nodded. "So am I." Nick hits rock bottom. Nick returned to the place where everything had started falling apart. He looked around. The memories came rushing back. Sharon laughing, their arguments, their promises, their second chances, their failures. He finally admitted something he had refused to admit for months. He had been waiting for someone else to fix his life. Sharon couldn't. Victoria couldn't. Nikki couldn't. Victor couldn't. Only Nick could. He picked up his phone. He called a counselor. When the call connected, Nick's voice shook. "I need help." Those 3 words were harder for him to say than anything else. But they were also the beginning. Sharon's new beginning. Several days later, Sharon stood outside Crimson Lights. The morning sun was rising over Genoa City. She took a deep breath. Her marriage was ending. Her heart was broken. But she was still standing. Mariah walked beside her. "You ready?" Sharon nodded. "I think so." Then Sharon saw Nick across the street. He didn't approach her. He simply stood there. For a moment their eyes met. Sharon expected him to run toward her. He didn't. Instead, Nick nodded. It was a small gesture, a gesture that said he understood. Sharon nodded back. Then she walked inside the coffee house. Nick watched her disappear through the door. He looked down at his phone. Another appointment was scheduled. Another step toward getting his life back. Maybe Sharon was right. Maybe love wasn't enough. Maybe sometimes love meant letting someone go. And maybe, one day, after all the damage had been repaired, after the lies were replaced with truth and the promises were replaced with action, they might be able to look at each other without anger. But today wasn't that day. Today, Sharon Newman had chosen herself. And Nick Newman had finally begun the hardest journey of his life. The marriage was ending. But Nick's story wasn't. And somewhere deep inside, both of them knew that Genoa City had not seen the last chapter of their story. It had only seen the beginning of a completely different one.